Okay, I'm here. At 9 o'clock on the button. And I gave you 30 seconds of Epidemic Sound instrumental, a royalty-free instrumental that they were pleased enough to leave us so that I could have that as my introductory sound instrumental. It sounds so good. There we go. Speaking with my producer and our stagehand, also known as Me, Myself, and I, since I'm a one-man band here. And there we are, in living color. There's our little time clock telling me when, how much time I've spent here. And you can see it's 9:02:15 seconds a.m. It just left up the autofocus a little bit. Yep. And oh yeah, the Baltimore Bridge, the 695. What a mess. Fortunately, they had a, where's my bridge picture? Yeah, there we go. That one. The one piece of information we learned last night or this morning is that there was a Mayday. Mayday, 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 shut the gates on the bridge. Because this container ship lost all power. So it's floating down the river quickly. About 8 knots. But that's a 1,000-foot ship. These containers are big. Some people, put front doors on them and you can live in them. It's could be a little noisy. Someone bangs on the outside of it. You'd be vibrating inside, but, that's just what... You see, this has a big concrete barrier all the way around that. You would think that the pylons for this bridge would have a bigger barrier so that, when something is like moving into it, it ripped aside. I never seem to see any photos looking from the other direction. There is I've seen a live helicopter view looking at this side over here, the starboard side, to use the proper boating terminology, which one learns in the 4th grade. Oh boy. So the latest, Ronna McDaniels was hired by NBC as a consultant kind of a person. Let's brighten her up a bit. There we go. She was the RNC chairperson, Republican National Committee chairperson, for years, many years, like 5-6 years, something like that. And she left that job, like a few months ago. And she was hired by NBC to be a contributing person I heard somewhere for like $300,000 a year. Well, everyone at NBC has MSNBC, and every contraction of those three letters, reacted. Oh my God, how are we going? It's amazing. There's people that talk about democracy and speech and free speech and this and that. Oh, the last thing you want to do is have a conservative point of view come up on NBC. I mean, that would be terrible. You'd think, to be fair and balanced, you want to hear all sides of an argument, And she's a very, I'm not a big fan one way or the other of Ronna McDaniels, but she's a very well-spoken, professional business lady, political, operative, knows all the ins and outs of, everything Republican. Hell, what do you call it? You would think Newsmax or Fox News would pick her up. She'd be an outstanding contributing person to discuss what's going on politically. We're coming into a big political season right now. She could sit at a desk with anybody at Fox News and add to the value of the program. No question. I used to be, a long time ago, Ed McCluskey used to come to me and says, they used to call me Wilski. Wilson with a Jewish tang to it. Wilski, what do you think about this ad? So, McCluskey had opened up this big double truck ad that's going to cost the company $20,000, $25,000 to run in a big newspaper in, Kansas City somewhere or Pompano Beach, and I forget which. And he said, what do you think about that ad? And I look at it, and, I'm not an advertising, but you just want to know, what do you think about this ad? And I'd see the different, I said, I like it. It's vivid, it's eye-catching, and then you get drawn into, the different segments. It's not too busy, and it's got a punch to it. I like it. Aside from looking at accuracy and all that kind of stuff. He said, good, run with the ad. When he do that? Well, and then he showed me another ad, like 2 weeks later. He said, what do you think of this ad? I said, Ed, I don't like this one. It's too busy. It's too, it's too fine. It's look like a classified ad. It's too complicated. He said, I agree. You got to simplify this. You got to focus in on more. Anyway, so every once in a while, someone likes Jimmy's point of view. Man on a street reaction to whatever. Anyway, so Ronna McDaniels, I think, is an impressive person. Whether you like what she has to say or not, she is an impressive. So Maddow applauds NBC decision to drop McDaniels. I mean, these people are, they're so hard leaning that they can't even listen to another point of view. And she's going to sue everybody. She has the right to sue everybody on MSNBC that criticized her, late night talk shows. For defamation of character and, all the bad things they said about her on their network, which, only about 600,000 or 800,000 people watch it anyway. So, but when you got 700,000 or 800,000 people that basically run you out of town, she was hired for like 3 days, and wham, she's out. NBC people, executives just ran for the hills. They should have put the foot down and had a memo go out, a meeting, and said, you're going to do this or you're going to be gone. You know, your ratings suck. Suck squared. Anyway, I think she's, you know, hot stuff. Now, I don't know, you know, how she is as deciding, you know, how you get young voters in Minneapolis, you know, how you politically operate that, so to speak. But as just a spokesperson that can, you know, keep a debate going, she's good. Anyway, look, I found this picture in my little Funkin' Wagnalls, just going through the pictures. You can see I have one of those right there. It's a classic. It's called a 55S. It's made by the Unidyne by the Shure Brothers, Inc. 100 ohms resistance. It is a classic, you know, Elvis Presley microphone. He dances with it and all that. It's a cordioid microphone, where the front face of that is right here. This front face is where the sound from your voice or whatever instrument, if you could put this down, you know, mid-body and then, you know, play a guitar. In the back of it, you don't hear a lot from the back. And because of the back and the front and the construction and so forth, the back is like filtered out. Anyway, that's a interesting microphone design. $300, you can have one of your very own. And this one right here is a more modern design. I mean, I had this, you know, since like 1962. I'm trying to find the instruction book for this, you know, which is copyright, you know, printed 1957 or something or other. I think I had it in 1962. I ran a little radio thing. KOD 6614. Remember the CB radio? I had that microphone, you know, wired into my CB radio. When I was 14 years old, I saved up my money when I was mowing lawns and delivering newspapers all over where I lived. I had a newspaper route, so I ride my, you know, you had the hardest thing about a newspaper route is they give you a big stack. I had like 120 households I had to deliver newspapers to, which was a lot. So I had like 200 pounds of newspapers delivered, you know, at 5:30 in the morning, right, you know, in the middle of my front driveway. So you'd have to fold the newspapers and stuff it in a plastic bag. Fold the newspapers and stuff it in a plastic bag. I mean, that was so tedious. And then you have to put all those in, you know, in the whatever cage thing you had, like on the back of the bike or in the front of the handlebars, and you'd ride by the driveway and you'd sling them in the driveway and try to get it up, you know, so that Mr. Schwartz could get his newspaper without having to, you know, walk all the way down. You know, you don't drop them in the front of the driveway. You got to sling it up where the pathway comes to where it meets the driveway. So you get the art of the fling. Oh boy. So I forget what I earned, you know, it was like $30 a week delivering newspapers Monday through Friday, and then you had the Saturday and the Monday through Saturday, and then you had the big Sunday paper. Oh my God, that was whew, that was monstrous. You know, it was like that thick, Now when you try to roll that over and slip it in a plastic bag. Oh boy. Anyway, so I saved all my newspaper out so I could buy that microphone and connect it to my CB radio instead of the push to talk, with the coil cord plugging it. So I wired that baby in there, and my voice was so nice on a CB radio, which no one, and you could hear, that CB radio would broadcast over about 10-mile radius. It hit, a couple 100,000 people if they had their CB radio on. Okay. All right, so JFK named attorney, she's a patent attorney, Nicole Shanahan. A nice, vibrant, I think she's in her mid-30s. She's, from Southern California. And she's extremely wealthy. She was married to the co-founder of Google, would you believe? And I think California is a community property state, so she probably got half of her husband's Google stock, which I don't even have a clue what that's worth, but it's many billions. Okay? So what she brings to the ticket is a bright, young, now she's a lefty, she's hard left. But she's well-spoken, she's attractive, young lady in her mid-30s, that's a guess, in her 30s. That's what I heard, actually. She's a lefty, which is, of course, what the Democratic ticket, even though they're running an independent ticket, JFK is only on, Utah or something as far as being on the state, on the ballot, the national ballot. But now that he has a running mate, now they can, move across, 30 other states. So, in theory, they have, with 30 states, they have enough electoral votes that they could collect to actually win the presidency. If, people voted for them. Anyway, so that happened yesterday. Ronna McDaniels got fired yesterday. She only had the job for like 5 days. She's going to sue everybody, Oh my God. It's going to be a bloodbath of litigation. So she will be, and she will win because they defamed her on national television all night. For the last couple of nights. I tuned in to a couple of broadcasts and it was just disgusting what they... So here's a story, and I couldn't find the reason. The reasons your dog licks your face might surprise you. Well, I don't know. I don't know. It certainly is a favorable thing. The dog isn't biting your face. So if anybody knows why dogs lick your face, I don't like dogs licking my face. Saliva, I was a pre-med student, my last 2 years in college, and you ever heard of a course called microbiology, bacteriology? I mean, I took a lot of ologies, and you don't want, animals licking your face. You get all kinds of germs and things, because, dogs, cats, they lick other parts of their own body parts. And then they lick your face? No! Don't do that. You see it. It gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. The heebie-jeebies. Speaking of heebie-jeebies, quantum computing. That is the latest. This is a graphic of, all the energy of a quantum computer. There's a lot of talk about quantum computing lately. In the meantime, Google, Tesla is going to incorporate 5G. You got 3G, 4G, 5G, LTE. I've had iPhones starting with iPhone 4. That's when they came out with the larger screen, and the screen was more accurate, touch screen. iPhone 4 was our first iPhone. And we've had iPhones ever since, including the iPhone 15 Max Pro. I don't know whether it's the biggest, brightest screen they have. This is it, actually, and it's being used right now to tell us how much time we've been on the air. And this broadcast, if you can see this little streamer up on the top, it's a simulcast. It's simultaneously being broadcasted on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter Live. All three of those feeds are broadcasting my voice right now on all three of those. After I do one of these, which I've been doing it, 6 or 7 days a week, I try to be at 9 o'clock, but sometimes it's so difficult with all the little things and chores and stuff I got to do. But I'm trying to. Marilyn says you've got to get on the air at pick a time. So I figured 9 o'clock. More people, tune in at 9. Maybe more would tune in at 8, but I can't do it at 8. It's just, with Marilyn going to work and this and that, 8's still too early. 9 is just right. And you can always come back later. You could watch this. At 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, whatever you feel like it. But then it wouldn't be live. It would be, because it's like the Facebook, YouTube, whatever. It's there forever in cyberspace. It's on servers all over the planet, which is kind of amazing. I'm seeing Buttigieg. He is the Secretary of Transportation. I mean, this guy used to be the mayor of a town that's about this big. And they picked him to be Secretary of Transportation of the entire United States of America. With all the stuff going on with the trains crashing, and he didn't show up to that site for like 3 or 4 months. All this stuff with the Boeing aircrafts. He don't know jack squat about, the only thing he knows how to do with an airplane is sit in the seat and be a passenger. And you had this whole blowout in a Boeing When they build a Boeing aircraft, the fuselage can be this long, it can be this long, or it can be this long. There's like two or three different configurations of how long that fuselage, it's a big tube, and it has, support rings, and it's all very carefully engineered. And if the aircraft that you're flying, doesn't have the 300-seat configuration, it's got the 200-seat configuration, then they only need, the doors in the front and maybe an emergency exit in the tail, So instead of 3 sets of doors, it only has 2 sets of doors. So, but if it only needs so many doors to accommodate the seating configuration of the, then they put a plug where a door might be, but it's not a door, it's a plug, and it gets, it has rubber seals all the way around it, the plug is, it's probably 10 inches, 8 inches thick. They pop it in there and they screw it tight. Because remember, when you're flying at anything over 8,000 feet, the aircraft gets pressurized. So you have all this pressure, because the outside, if you're at 30,000 feet, there's very little pressure outside at 30,000 feet. So the plane is, it gets pumped up, to 6 or 8 pounds per square inch, so that you don't have, you don't get the bends when you're, flying, you don't want your passengers to get embolisms and all that kind of stuff, so they pressurize the aircraft. And, somehow or other, when the planes were being assembled in the Boeing assembly, these huge hangars where they build these airplanes, and they pop them out, the back door, once a week, a huge airplane rolls out ready to fly, and they test fly it and blah, 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 blah. But, that plug, apparently, they spot checked, a bunch of others. They grounded the whole fleet, after that door, that hole, when it blew out. Yeah. Jeez, can you imagine sitting anywhere near that row and the door blows out? So when you're picking your seats, pick a seat 2 or 3 rows away from any door, any opening like that. Because when that blows, you've got a huge amount of a rush of pressurized atmosphere blowing out that opening. If you were sitting next to that door, you get blown right out of the aircraft. You're a dead duck. As a matter of fact, they had an Asian fellow that was on a broadcast, 4 or 5 days after that incident, and it actually sucked his shoes and socks off. I mean, it's one thing you have your shoes, sucked off, but when it peels your socks off, because the air is rushing out from underneath your feet too. Oh my God. That'd give you an idea of, the amount of whoosh, It's like being hit with a 80-mile-an-hour wind, inside the aircraft. You're just, reading your newspaper and whoosh, everything goes out, sucks out that window. That window, that opening that would have housed a door if they had a door. But they had a plug there instead of the door, appropriately, and it blew out because it wasn't properly screwed. And then they found the door. It's not the door, the plug. They found the plug, up in a tree in some guy's backyard. I mean, you can imagine this big plug, which is the size of an aircraft door, falling out of the sky and hits this guy's tree in the backyard. And it's up in the branches. So he and his neighbor just got the door off out of the tree, and the NTSB, he called the NTSB and said, "Hey, a door just landed in my backyard. It's probably missing from an airplane that just flew overhead. You want to come get it?" So they came and looked at it, and the screws weren't tight. I don't know, what that means, because it wasn't attached, so it's hard to believe they'd be tight. But anyway, they inspected it, and they determined that it wasn't properly, you had these screws, every 8 inches going all the way around that plug, tightening it up so that the seals, the pressurization of the aircraft, would be maintained, not to mention that the plug would not blow out. There's a lot, when you go, 5 or 8 pounds per square inch, and you add up how many square inches there are on that whole plug, you got thousands of pounds of pressure pushing on that plug outward when they pressurize the aircraft. I mean, it's, pounds per square inch all the way around the circumference of that entire airplane. So when they pressurize an aircraft, that's serious business. There's a lot of equipment that's needed to pressurize a big plane like that to make your flying experience more comfortable and safe. Anyway, Tesla is bringing 5G to all its electric vehicles and its Optimus robots. There's a few. Tesla is, Elon Musk has an imagination, an exciting imagination, and he has a company and huge factories that can build stuff, make the parts. He doesn't have to order these parts out of a catalog. He manufactures the parts and assembles it into interesting devices like these robots. And of course, he created this head design, which has got, cameras and stuff, and listening devices in the ears, making it humanoid looking. And, you could put clothing on the robots, make it look, but right now they're just shiny pieces of, steel and aluminum or whatever. And they use the computing power of the Tesla robots, uses the computer and a big chunk of the software that's designed into the computer that's in all of, the Model 3s and the Model Ys and the Model S's and the Model X's. He has a fleet of, over 2 million of cars floating around that get updated with the software over, a 10-year period of time. He's pumping these out at about, almost a million a year. I think every quarter he's throwing out 280,000 cars a quarter. So 4 times, 3 is 12. So he's like at 1.1 million a year cars coming out, which in the world of, the car business, Toyota puts out 13 million cars a year, or used to. Well, these all electric. We've been driving a Model Y for 3 years. 30, 36, 35, 34 months. In June it'll be 3 years. Well, they invited us to turn in the car early. They'd pick up the last 2 months and any proration in the 3rd month of our lease, and you get a brand new 2024 Model Y. So we took advantage of that. Why not? Lease is $565 a month, which, and the world is a $50,000 car. If you look at the capitalized cost in the lease, and they gave us a $2,550 discount, price adjustment, I think they called it, downward. So it was really a $53,000 car, and they wrote it down to $50,030 exactly, to the penny. And they also gave us, you have a $7,500 tax thing. Well, they said, the heck with that. They looked at our, financial, because you have to do an application. So we looked at all the financial stuff, and they said, you qualify for the tax credit. So instead of you having to go to the government, we'll take the $7,500 and divide it by 36 months. So that's, if you do that math, that's like $206 a month. Bam! On the lease. Or else that lease would have been like $700 and something a month. Turned out to be $565 because they gave us that full tax credit right in the lease. So, with the $2,550 price adjustment downward, and them applying the $7,500 number that you've read about with the, the tax rebate, they put it right in the lease. Now, if you're buying the car, then you pay for the car, and then you get the $7,500 back from the government when you file your tax return. Since we were leasing the car, you really don't get ownership. You get exclusive use, that kind of thing. So they just did that right in the lease. Boom, $7,500. It's really very ingenious, actually. Anyway, so the robots have the supercomputer, which is super duper fast. It's not a quantum computer, but it is, it's like 20 times more comprehensive, faster. The number of cycles per second that it can, gigaflips, because it's processing all this visual data, it has 8 cameras all the way around the car. And so it uses that computer, and the theory is, what the use of that computer is, so instead of 4 wheels, it's got 2 arms and 2 legs. So all you have to do is adjust the computer for the different actuators that are in the arms and in the legs. And that data goes, back and forth to the computer, and that's what makes the arms and legs move. Computer, stop. I have an Alexa device behind me, and I use the word computer, and it wakes up. Computer, stop. So I have to be very careful about using the C word with this guy behind me, because it starts talking. Computer, what time is it?
It's 9:40 a.m.
You hear that? Oh, thank you. You can say, where are you? And it'll tell you where you are. It's amazing. These devices that talk to you. So here's another story about quantum computing. Big deal for everyday life, instead of solving the world's problems, is that it can look at questions that you throw at it simultaneously from a lot of different directions, which could take years and years and years if a scientist was solving a problem. and he'd look at it one way, and he'd do all his calculations, he'd do his research, and these very intensive quantum computing can do all that simultaneously in a few minutes instead of years. So it might take, a year to program these things. But once they're programmed to, listen to commands from people that aren't computer people, that's the big thing, the interface between the computer and the user is the programming. I used to be a coder. I'd write the code for, in the early days of computing, and the language, the syntax that I learned was COBOL, C-O-B-O-L, COBOL computing. There are computers today running on COBOL, government computers, old computers. Oh boy, can you imagine? Because they can't afford to buy the new computers, so they're using the same old COBOL computers. Using COBOL, Common Business Oriented Language, COBOL. If you're wondering what the acronym is, COBOL, Common Business Oriented Language, which basically is a syntax. You have to say things and words in a particular way to create the lines of code, and then you would compile that. You put it in a compiler. So COBOL then would get translated into machine language that this thing would understand, and it gets compiled. So after your program is compiled, it comes out with a printout. It either does what you wanted it to do, or it gives you a printout showing where all the syntax errors are. And then you'd have to hunt, and it'd tell you what line in the code is not correct, and you'd fix it. And then you'd run it through the compiler again, and you see if it comes out clean and produces the result, with the data that you throw at it. Anyway, so I did that for 3 or 4 years, 5 years. It was good exercise. I was a good logic student. You draw diagrams of how, go here, if yes, go here, if no, go there, all those charts. You have to draw those out first. You have to throw out your logic first. And then from that, you start coding. Anyway, this morning in Boca Raton, it was 74 degrees, a high of 80 today, and a low of 74 as of 8 a.m. I was updated at 8:12 a.m. You see, at 8:12 a.m. Right? Whoops, I'm sorry. You don't see that. Producer, come on. There we go. Whoop, there we go. 74 degrees today in sunny Boca Raton. You see, I'm doing the reverse pinch. Yeah, there's about a 30 millisecond delay because of the signal traveling around my. It's 9:45. Yep, 9:45. My computer tells me the time every 15 minutes just to keep me on track. You see that? It says 44 minutes and 52 seconds. So I went on the air just right around 9 o'clock. So because I didn't have that this thing showing, where's the I don't know if you saw that microphone or not. There we go. Beautiful. Yes, 55. 55S, sorry. It's the robots. So he's planning on building these things to do things in factories that are repetitive and boring. because the robots can do it. You know, instead of having a fixed robot thing, that's bolted to the floor, these robots can stand in an assembly line, like filling pills and bottles, all that stuff. So you have a couple of robots doing boring things that people would get bored doing. And robots don't ask for raises. Yeah. They don't need health benefits. But, you do have to have engineers and mechanics to take care of these guys. I don't know if you need to lubricate them or whatever. I know with the Model Y, after 3 years of driving it, there's no air filters. You don't have to add water to the radiator. You don't have to check the oil in the engine or add oil, change the oil filter, drain the oil out of the bottom of the engine, all this stuff. You don't have any of that with an electric car. You just get in and drive. You got a big battery, which you plug in your garage, which gives you 300 miles of range, about. And 300 miles is, which means, twice a week you need to top it off. You come like, we can look at the car right now. There it is. There's the car. You can see it. 174 miles of range in the car right now. And it's a new car. It's only got 183 miles on it. So there were 249,000 of this particular Model Y configuration. That's a 2024 car. It's in March. So they made at least 250,000 of these things when we picked this up on March 15th. It's fantastic. I don't know if you can see, it has a white interior. I love the white interior. Marilyn loves the white interior. She said, I'm so surprised I love the white interior. It's like getting into a tuxedo. And it's the same seat design as in their space capsules. Their Dragon capsule that they blast off to go to the space station. And a bunch of them landed. Yeah, they stayed up there. Where's the pictures again? For 6 months. There you go. There's a thermograph of the space, I think they call it a Dragon space capsule, which is big. It can hold seven astronauts, and the chutes are all open as it floats down. When it's like 6,000 meters up, when it's coming down through the atmosphere at a rapid pace, it's slowing down from 18,000 miles an hour to, like 160 miles an hour. But that's still too hard. If it hits the ocean at that pace, everyone would be pancakes. So these 4 big chutes open up as it's settling. There's a couple of chutes that come out first, and then these chutes come out second. There's 2 sets of parachutes. There's another image of that, and you can see the space capsule there, which is hot. But it's coming down through the atmosphere and cooling down. You're converting momentum, speed, into heat. Energy doesn't go away. You just convert it from one form to another. When you're in your car and you put your foot on the brakes, you're converting the forward motion into heat in the brakes. That's why you have those, fins associated with the brake, with the wheels, to help cool the brakes. Well, here they have a heat shield on the front of this guy, and it's facing into the atmosphere as it's landing back into Earth, and they can, you can put it within a square mile of the ocean, and then the boats that capture this thing race towards its landing. The chutes automatically break away, these parachutes, so that the space shuttle doesn't get smothered with all these chutes. And they break away at a certain just when it hits the water, they break, these cords break off and the chutes spread out. They pick them up, wash them, fold them, and put them back in and reuse them. When the NASA, they throw them away. But SpaceX, these things cost, thousands of dollars a piece. If we can use them again, we're going to use them again. Why waste them? They have, they re-land the boosters right at the where they took off from. NASA's been throwing them away for 30 years. Yeah, what the hell? It's government money. They're spending other people's money. It's easy to throw it away. Here's some other SpaceX and NASA gives you very nice imaging, to help the public, buy into the space program, which I'm an avid, interested fan of. Here's another little, I'm hitting all kinds of weird topics here. I save these images so that it helps me have, things to talk about. And instead of having notes and a script and all that kind of stuff, I do print screens as I read articles. Now here I took a picture of Instant Gourmet, the everyday, every way spice, rustic Italiano. So this is the label on the rustic Italiano. Someone I knew very well who's since passed away, but his formula lives with us. Here's, the ingredients, dried tomatoes, garlic, salt, parsley, black pepper. It's a great seasoning. I use it all the time. You sprinkle it on, chicken, meat. I use, probably a third of a cup of that in my my tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, tomato sauce, which you can use on pizza or spaghetti. I had a nice little bowl of spaghetti last night. Rustic Italiano. And where can you get it? Kitchen Fusion. They open at 9 o'clock this morning, actually. I did an online order last night. Toll free. There's a toll free number, which of course you can't see. But Instant Gourmet. You can Google it. Instant Gourmet. Rustic Italiano. Kitchen Fusion. You put those words in the Google search. You want to try it? Let's try it. INSTANT. Instant Gourmet. GOURMET. And put a space. Kitchen Fusion. Look at that. And we get, boom, hit that one right there. There you go. That's where I was. rustic Italiano. I'll press this one right here. And that's what I got. I actually got the 3-pound jug. See that right there? That's how I buy it. Forget about 3 ounces. I get the 3-pounder. It costs $50 for 3 pounds, which is, you know, if you divide it by ounces and all that, it's obviously the most. And there's another one. You see this chart? Let's, there we go. This is a big one. See, the original spice, you can use it on everything. Every block. Beef, chicken, pork, seafood, veggies, side dishes. Rustic Italiano, chicken, veggies, and sides. I use this, to me, I use this one like the original. Phil LaMarche, who created the whole instant gourmet seasoning array, you know, Awake a steak, butter blast, brown sugar barbecue, Caribbean jerk, you know, Mediterranean seafood. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's got 9 different, you know, jars, you know, like this, that you can use for different purposes. You can buy it in a bag, you know, that's the 10-ounce bag, or the 3-ounce shaker thing. I have several of these shaker things, so I just buy the 3-pound big jug of it. And the jug is probably 10 inches high and 5 inches in diameter. I pay, you know, you can pay with any credit card. I pay for it with PayPal, just because it automatically goes to a variety of different payment methods. The Grande Southwest chili. He's got all the flavors. See, there's the spaghetti. There you go. It's the gourmet on your spaghetti sauce or meatball sauce. I love it. Phil LaMarche was a general licensed ham operator. He loved his ham radios, and he, was a home chef, kind of a. He did all kinds of things, but this was a real important venture for him. He hired a very good designer to produce the label, the bottling, eye-catching thing when it's sitting up on a shelf in Publix or somewhere, shopping center. You have to, comply with all the nutritional facts. Yeah, you gotta do all the stuff. It's not easy to do. I mean, it takes, a year or so to just start doing it. And the Kitchen Fusions has continued on with his seasonings. There are probably other places too, but I know of this one, and I have an account there. They know my address and and payment, this and that. So, brands, you get all kinds of different brands. I go to Instant Gourmet. Wowing home cooks backyard barbecues. For 40 years, this has been going on. You can imagine. But he introduced, me to his designer that did, the labeling and all that. See, every label has an exclamation point. And the original is the first one he came out with, was this one, with a red and yellow exclamation point. He had a real eye, and of course his designer had a real eye for this kind of thing. A 5-pound chef pack. Nope, that's my 1 hour alarm. Look at that. That's a 5-pounder. $50. No, I just bought the 3-pound jug, the same size jug as that, of the instant gourmet, and I bought 3 of these originals, which you can put on anything. You can use both. They have different ingredients. So, when you make your sauce, I use the instant gourmet, which simmers for an hour or two, and then when you make your whole spaghetti dish, for example, or a pasta dish, then you can just sprinkle all this original on top, and then when you eat it, you mix it in, and it gives us a little extra something or other. Spices are important when you're when you're chefing your home cooking. It just wakes it up. You got to do something more than salt and pepper. Yeah. Well, try the instant gourmet at Kitchen Fusions. You saw how easy it was to Google it. Right here in my live broadcast. It's amazing with the world today, where you can just Google something and all of a sudden, you get the information right in front of you. Well, that's what's going on with these computers. This AI, it reaches out. If you're writing a paper about something, doing some research, AI can reach out to the entire universe of knowledge and bring it all into you and give you a 3, 4, 5-page report on what you want to know about. You can change some of the keywords, reach out again and do the research again in case it didn't come out, with the information you wanted. I mean, it's amazing. There's never took a when he was president, he never took a paycheck. He gave every one of his, I think a president makes $400,000 a year. That's $100,000 a quarter. And he used to, you can't not take it. How stupid is that? The government makes you take the paycheck. So he handed it to charity. Every quarter, the paycheck got handed over to charity because he didn't want it. He was trying to show that he could So when people decide who's going to leave the country, you want someone that was your interest rates a lot lower 4 years ago? They sure were. They were less than half. How about gas? My daughter was filling up. She had me on the phone, and I hear all this noise in the background. She said, Dad, I just pulled into the gas station, and it says $5 a gallon. Can you imagine? You got a 20-gallon gas tank. It's $100 to fill your tank. Well, 4 years ago, it was, like $35 for a fill-up for a 20-gallon tank. Now it's $100. That's a lot of money every twice a week or whatever, depending on how long you commute or how much driving you do. A lot of money. That's why one of his slogans is, whether you like the guy or not, who cares? He's a kick-ass. I call him a kick-ass. I was the CEO of a bank. Okay, I wasn't. I was more of a nice guy. Well, he's a tough guy. Fine. He's a government employee. He's a tough guy. He's a kick-ass, what I call a kick-ass CEO. So let him kick ass. Let him get rid of these, the deep swamp state. Get rid of them. Fire as much of them as you can. You can't fire them. Reassign them to the northern posts of Alaska. They'll quit. Put them in Iceland. So you can reassign them if you can't fire them. You, you know, particularly in the IRS, that's what we need is like another 80,000 IRS agents. Give me a break. Jeez. Simplify the tax return and get rid of a lot of the IRS people. The Department of Education, get rid of all of them. We spend more money per pupil than any industrialized country in the world, and our scores, student scores, are terrible. So let the states run their own education. Get rid of the Department of Education. Just whoosh, that's $80 billion a year, $100 billion a year, $100 billion a year for the Department of Education, and they do nothing but louse up our schools because they're so full of bureaucracy and all this stuff. I mean, I can write a book. I'm probably misspeaking, but geez, Tesla, there it is. We've got a black one with a white interior. The thing is, I mean, it's all, computer assembled. It's 95% automated construction. Automated. Just think of the way the parts, the wheels come in, the rubber, the tires, the rims, the program that's needed to create the supply line that's constantly coming in. And a car comes off the assembly line every 40 seconds. A new car comes out the back door. You get all these parts, all this machinery. You go into one of those factories, and it'll awe-strike you to see how these factories are. This guy doesn't know anything about the car business. Well, he does now. He just had a good idea. I mean, it was 10 years ago. But 10 years later, these factories are like, oh my God, here's cars coming off the assembly line right now. There was a big party that they had in, I think, Germany. So it's the new Model 3, I think. The 3 and the Y are similar. Has the same wheelbase. But the Model 3 is not a hatchback. It has a trunk and a front trunk. They combine the words because there's no engine, no big gasoline engine. It just has, a motor down here underneath that license plate. I mean, it's a 200 horsepower electric motor, but a 200 horsepower electric motor is, like this big, as opposed to a gasoline engine, which is, a third of the size of the whole car and generates, huge amounts of heat, has a radiator and, all this, God, that's been powering cars for a long time. And then this guy comes up with a motor in the front, a motor in the back, and a big array of batteries in the floorboard, and a titanium case, and a computer controls for everything. You got a steering wheel, and you got, doodads each side of the steering wheel, to turn on your turn signals and to, put it in front or reverse, or when you're driving the right stalk, you just push down one time and it puts it into what I would call a super cruise control. And now he's got a big press on, see if I can find it, to do the auto drive, the self-driving. So you put your address, there it is. It's a mandate. Elon has reportedly implemented a hard requirement that potential Tesla buyers get a demonstration of the firm's full self-driving technology. A directive that Musk has signed a letter and sent it out to everybody in the company. And supposedly they're going to come out with version 12.3, and customers can get a test ride of full self-driving. Or, or I can pay $200 extra and operate it for 30 days. But they're going to give it to you. Apparently, whenever they come out with the software update, which just downloads into your car, and you get a free month of this full self-driving. And if you like it, you can either pay $12,000 and it will download it into the car permanently, or just pay $200 a month in a subscription, so to speak. Like if you're going to go on a road trip up to 1,000 miles away, you can put the address of where you want to go, and the car will take you right to that address. Driving, getting on the highway, getting off the highway, it'll automatically stop whenever it needs to get charged up along the way. It's amazing. That's soon. Now, I heard about this soon 3 years ago when I got the first one. And it's taken a while. They redid the whole hardware configuration. They upgraded all the cameras, to high-definition cameras all the way around, where they had less than high-definition cameras previously. I don't know what the pixel count was, but they're at least 2 million pixels across now on all the cameras. Hardware configuration 4. They don't like to talk about that because, you don't see that in the statistics about the car, because they don't want to, the writers, the guys that really know what they're talking about, they dig into that, and anyway. So they only try to say as much as they have to. Their lawyers are helping them, Anyway, so that's the Tesla. So you get an app. It's on your phone. The app. That's why it's got a skinny presentation here, because this fits the phone. This is an iPad, so it has a bigger display. But that's the car. It's parked. There's 170 miles of range, and it's. Oh, Marilyn is. She's at an appointment somewhere. Yes, 10 o'clock appointment. So you can see exactly where the car is. And it pulls it up on it. When it's driving, you can see the wheels move, and it says how many miles an hour it's going, because it's tuned in to California 24/7, and your app is able to pick up all this data. The same data that Fremont, California gets in their servers. Amazing, huh? Crazy. What we live in. That's what makes the Teslas unusual, because when they come up with a better, they're constantly improving the software. Changing the fonts. They got engineers constantly looking at this software package and making it better and better. Makes the car run better, smoother, more efficient electric consumption, so forth. And every 2 weeks, it says download software, and then you press a button. When you're in a Wi-Fi area, it'll download the software right into the car. Then you have to basically put it in park, and it takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to update the software. So you can't use the car for 20 minutes after the software is downloaded into the computer. And then you press a button on your phone and it counts down 2 minutes. 1 minute, 59, 58. And that gives you time to, get out of the car and go into Publix and have a cup of coffee or something. Well, it's 20 minutes up, or go into your kitchen, whatever. All right, so it's 1 minute, 16 seconds. 1 hour and 16 minutes and 15 seconds, I should say. You can see the clock up here in the 10:16:41. 10:16 down here. It's 76 degrees outside, and it's 69.4 inside, a little chilly. 55% relative humidity, perfect. And everyone's ready to get on with their day. So I hope you have a good day. And with that, I will say, have a great day. And I'll give you about 30 more seconds of epidemic.